Hello again. Once again, LRock617, second TMNT game for NES Block at SGDQ 2019. This is TMNT the Manhattan Project, TMNT 3 in the US, TMNT 2 in Japan, which is the version I'm going to be playing. Big difference between the two is that there's a menu that exists in both versions, but in the US it has to be unlocked with a code. In Japan it's just unlocked right away. So I've also been told that the Japanese version has less lag. I can personally not prove that, but someone I know who has run this game more than I have states as such, so I'm willing to believe that. The reason we use the menu is if we were doing if we're doing an easy percent run, we could do the easy category, but I'm doing the normal category. The big thing is we get the opportunity to increase our number of lives. So at 3 lives, that's the default for what you see in the US. 5 we can just completely ignore, and then 7 is the most lives that you can start the game with, and that's what we're going to be utilizing. The reason we max out our lives is because we're trying to take advantage of death abuse that allows us to switch turtles for characters that are more optimal for a given situation, and we'll be seeing hopefully a bit of that. So let's go ahead and get over to character select screen. It's SDA time, and so it's character control. So I'll count it down from that. For the very beginning of the game, we're going to be selecting Raph. Whenever we take a death in this game, we can switch our characters, which we'll be getting to the reasons why a bit later. But Raph is the best at the start, so we'll pick him first, and we're going to be at 3, 2, 1, go. So things to note about this game. First of all, it's really, really hard. One of the more difficult beat-em-ups I've ever played in terms of just like the fact that the game just simply does not care about you and will kill you at a moment's notice if you're not careful. Big reason is you spend most of the game at 1 life. You can tell with Raph, every character has their own special, and in Raph's case, he has this drill move, which does amazing, what doesn't do amazing damage, but it has amazing screen coverage. Like, you can just cover the entire screen and kill everything in your path with just one of these. It does the least damage of all the specials, so he's not optimal against most bosses, unless you just need the coverage, but he is amazing at making sure he can clear out foot soldiers and other enemies. You can see he covers almost the entire screen. He does have one weird quirk in that if you do his special against the wall, it automatically cancels the drill and turns his hitbox back on. Because the whole time the drill is active, he's invincible. As you can see there, I just did the drill against the wall and it canceled it right away as soon as it collided. We're going to move over this way to the right. Get a few guys to spawn here, hopefully not bad luck. Sometimes one of those guys will spawn directly on the bottom left, and the way I do utilize movement there is I just try to make sure he doesn't do that. I'm going to take a quick quiet time to make sure I kill these guys. Those guys can be a real pain. Another thing I should mention about this game, which explains why that in particular was a big problem, is because there will be many given segments of this game where you have an odd number of enemies, and they can spawn 2 on the left, 1 on the right, or vice versa, and it's up to you to adapt to that. Especially in that case where enemies have like projectiles and stuff. Scary stuff there. Managed to escape. You also had the segments there where those guys were spawning 1 at a time. Sometimes it spawns left then right, and other times right then left. And again, up to you to adapt. This segment's really, really scary. Can't step anywhere where you have those holes. That will kill me. Because at this point, any one thing that touches me will kill me. So I'm going to be utilizing some safety strats here. Like, they can jump kick me and I die. I can land in a hole and I die. They also have a 1-frame grab that can just nab me out of nowhere. But luckily, I managed to get it past all that. We'll move on to our boss, Rocksteady. Hopefully I can get some good coverage here. Key thing here is to make sure you stay below his sprite so that way he can't touch you. That can be tricky, as you can tell by the fact that I just died. I'm actually quite upset about that. Sometimes when characters push themselves back to the wall like that, they can essentially do whatever the heck they want, because in a case of using someone like Raph, you can't get to the other side of them to retain safety. On to our second stage. This is where we're going to be seeing our first intentional death. Start off by draining a bunch of our health. So you can see I'm using drill to make sure I can drop my health as much as possible before taking the big dive. Only really did that for points. I don't think it really affects lag, but these guys being on screen does increase the amount of lag that we have. These guys, we're going to take them out, hopefully. There's 7 of these foot soldiers I have to take out, but I also need to make sure I watch out specifically for these electric drones that are trying to approach us. And then I'm going to take a death. That death was intentional, unlike the one I just took in the first stage. So I'm going to hover over Leo here, but I'm not going to pick a character yet, because if I pick a character, it's going to spawn him right in the middle of all this stuff that's incoming on screen, and that creates a ton of lag. So we save our character selection for after this segment for a very, very good reason. Alright, so now we're on Leo. Very different character from Raph. Leo has, unlike Raph, Leo has absolutely no screen coverage whatsoever. However, he makes up for that by being the best character for both grouping as well as camping. You can see he anti-airs like a pro on things like these helicopters. They just dive down into blending death. Now clear us out of the first part of stage 2. Speaking of Leo, we are going to be seeing him for a while. He's the primary character for the next couple of stages. Moving on here. Cannons can be a bit of a nuisance, particularly because if you time your special attack incorrectly, they actually will be able to tag you out of it. In fact, there's a faster strat than what I'm getting ready to do here, but it is a lot more unsafe. That was almost really bad. I gotta take care of these guys. I'm actually pretty lucky he died that. And like I said, when it comes to camping, if you're Leo, just camp over those holes as they jump out, and you're gonna get rid of them clean. One more. Good timing there. I almost missed that, actually. Dun, 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 dun. More guys jumping out of doors. Leo with his great grouping means you're pretty much taking 2 of the 3 out right away. I also want to point out that the soundtrack to this game bangs super hard. I'm really, really happy to play it for only that reason most of the time. Gotta dodge those. Alright, on to our stage 2 boss. This boss is interesting. His name's Ground Chuck. Hasn't really been featured in TMNT too much outside of this game and a couple of other mediums. This is an interesting pattern. I wasn't ready for that. I've never seen him go right to the middle of the screen. That was really bad. Now I can't even show off like a cool quick kill that you can do on him. Also, that death was unintentional. Normally what he does is, if you start hitting him early enough, and that could have been on me that didn't start hitting him early enough, is you get him a little more to the left, and you can just get in a bunch of hits while he's doing his charge, which he's invincible during, technically. Like, he can't take hit stun, but he can take damage. But because I was invincible up to a certain point, he got to hit me first. Alright, onto our bridge. Second stage in the game where we're only going to see one character utilized. Leo is basically the man in this stage. 2 bosses, both of whom he's very, very good against, and enemies tend to do a really good job of grouping themselves. For example, we're going to see 3 foot soldiers here group themselves like that. I have seen them group all 3 at once before. Just didn't quite work out there. That guy moved down. So, another thing I forgot to point out. Yes, the Stone Warriors, however, kind of like a race. So they're just lackeys of those guys. Dodge all these grenades. It goes to Konami game. Other thing I forgot to point out. Life increases happen initially every 50,000 until I think 100,000. As you can see, I've already gotten a couple of extra lives by being at 100,000. Past that, it's every 100,000 until 500,000, and then the extra lives caps. They got these jerks. Wow, rude. These guys can be a pain. Except with Leo, they're not quite as bad. That was actually really scary because that attack with the 2x4 is really active. That could have outlasted my special. Gonna move down and kill these guys. I'm being really, really safe about approaching them. So I don't know what's going to happen here in the case of Slash. Our first boss in the stage, and is actually a mid-boss. There's a quick kill that does work on him, but the timing is pretty strict, and I did it way too early. I hate it when that happens. I'll show you exactly why once I'm finished killing him. He's being a real troll right now. When he starts jumping around like that, it's the worst. So here's why. There's a pizza right after the fight. So that accidentally cheats you to an extra life. So, very unfortunate there. I think I just should have waited a little later to hit him. I'm not quite sure. More goods from Leo. Just had 3 soldiers land in 2 given segments right by each other. See me use throw occasionally. Throw is a very, very, very good move in this game. It's done by pressing down on the attack button. Arguably a more overpowered move than the special in the sense that it kills foot soldiers in one hit just like your special, but it doesn't drain your health. The reason it's not used quite as much in the speedrun is that you can only throw 1 enemy at a time, whereas specials just hit everything that comes colliding into it. Pretty good there. Onto our actual boss, Bebop. We have a quick kill here that I'm hoping to be able to utilize. Putting myself right against the car. He can push himself against the wheel, and if I do this correctly, he shouldn't be able to hit me. Solid fight. It was a little slower than what I'd like to have been, but the positioning was perfect, so I can't really complain. Alright, so for this stage, in all truth, there actually is a really good intentional death to take in this stage that allows you to switch to Raph, and Raph is the optimal character in this stage, but I already took 3 deaths that weren't intended, so actually was it 3? Yeah, it was 3, so that's really bad. So I'm just going to stick with Leo. Leo is good in this stage, I think. He's like the 3rd best, so he's not great, but he's fine. I've actually had at least 1 really good run that featured Leo being utilized in this stage. That was unfortunate. Only a little bit of damage, though. Move down to this guy. This is one of Leo's big downsides. Any enemies with projectiles can really give him a problem. If a foot soldier has to approach him, Leo just gets to just massacre them for free. But if they have like boomerangs or ninja stars or spears, like he can really, really have a tough time there. Dodge these bowling balls. This is actually where the intentional death would happen. But we're going to skip that. Because we ain't so healthy, you see. Take that out. Another manhole pops up. This is actually where I died in a practice run, was on these guys. Ooh, he threw it way too early. That was very lucky for me. Slide there. Kind of had to do some maneuverability around there. If the boomerang comes back and the blades are still out, then you won't get hit. Position like this is where Raph would be king. When you have 3 foot soldiers just plop down like that, Raph just gets to kill them all at once, and it's really strong. But we're having to make do. Not too bad. This segment can be really scary. These foot soldiers, Stone Warriors, I should say, all have rocket launchers, but they have a really fast melee attack that takes all of 1 frame to hit you. So not so good. Took another death I didn't want to take, but at least we're using the correct character now. Raph with his space coverage is going to be a very good asset to have here. Get out of here, please. Not too much to talk about here, just more enemy clearing. We will see another new enemy here in just a moment. I don't think we've seen the whip guys yet, so I guess that's 2. They just have extended melee. Here we have the luchadors. These guys are interesting. They didn't get to show off why they're interesting because I killed them all quickly. I don't think I've ever done that quickly before, but certainly take it. Come here, you. Quick downside I want to point out about specials. Despite the fact that specials are very powerful, for farming lives, they're really bad because each special kill only gets you 200 points on a foot soldier. So you can't really maximize point gains by doing specials, but it's still the fastest way to route your way to a completion, simply because you're getting the most out of being able to move from section to section. And to beat them up in the large majority of cases, that's what you want to be doing, is just clearing out segments of enemies. That was really unlucky. It was also not very well played by me. I should have done something different about it. Also, probably should have switched to Raph, or I should have switched to Don, because Don's slightly better against the boss. But Raph's still pretty good against our boss. Let's see how this goes. We're definitely not looking at a 1cc run here, but there are a couple of places where I can take an intentional game over, where I won't lose a lot of time. 2 places in particular I'm going to be looking into, but I have to see how I'm doing by that point in the run, which we're a while off from. So these guys, back to the luchadors. So as mentioned, these guys are interesting. They have a flying body attack that is really, I think, their only form of melee. They just jump across the screen at you. Pretty easy to take care of when you have moves that are just completely invincible. Ooh, he tried to kick me. So just to give everybody an idea, if I were going to take an intentional death, it would be right here, because Dirtbag's going to come in on his minecart, and then you can take a death there and just not lose time. You just switch to Don, and you get a slightly better boss fight. Don's very, very good against Dirtbag. Typing this guy's name. So with Raph, I'm just going to hope to keep distance. Hope it works out for me. Oh, he is vertical spacing super hard here. So many setups. Let's see what Don gets me here. Don can get in more damage like that. Raph could, but okay. That's the kind of stun lock you need to be able to get with Don to put him in the corner, but I didn't want to have to make the switch simply because this run has been not going particularly well, to say the least. Moving on to the sewer. Don actually is the character of choice here for sure. Very, very good character in this stage. Kill these guys real quick. I think Don does have the most useful throw because of his range, but I could be wrong about that. Since we haven't seen much of him, Don is a really solid character. His melee range is, of course, very good because it's Donatello, and his special is kind of in the middle of the road. It can camp really well and it can cover ground really well, but he's kind of stuck in the jack of all trades role where he does everything pretty good, but nothing extraordinary. Like if you're ranking him at a 10 and everything, he's like a 7, whereas like, you know, Leo's like easily like at least a 9 for grouping, and Raph is like a 9 or a 10 on space control. Got some helicopter drones coming in here. These guys are going to spawn 2 at a time, and I hope I'm going to catch them. I was a little early on that one, so that's going to be unfortunate. What also sucks about this guy being here is it's going to prevent foot soldiers from spawning because those kind of sprite. So punished for being early. I think that's it, though. I don't know what these guys are doing, but I'm not going to approach them because I'm so low on health. Those jump kicks are deadly. I can't emphasize that enough. If they try to jump kick you, it's probably going to hit. It's invincible as heck. What are you doing? These guys slide out, and cannon usually will hit you, but stay on the top pixel and you're fine. Another quick grouping segment. This guy on the left end would be a little worried about because he has a kunai. That was scary. Got hit by the other guy. I'm going to be doing throws on mousers because this actually farms the most points. Doing a throw on a mouser gets you 1,000 points, and you can't get that many points on a foot soldier no matter how you kill it. The most that you can get is 800, and that requires you throwing a foot soldier into another foot soldier to kill it, so that doesn't happen often. Alright, we got a mid-boss here. It's going to be a Mother Mouser. Normally this fight goes well, but if the Mother Mouser decides to act up, it can turn ugly really fast. Especially if fireballs get factored in, as you can plainly see. I am just getting the worst of it today. So, general rule for any boss, if they put themselves against the wall, they're just being an asshole. It's as simple as that. Like, if they put themselves against the wall and you have a character with a traveling special, like Raph or Don, that essentially means that they're just completely locking you out of the fight, because the safety of it is, especially when in a case with someone like Raph, you are trying to get to the other side so you can maintain safety, and if their back is to the wall, they're just going to get to hit you. Saw that in the first stage with Rocksteady, and it's not uncommon to see that with most bosses. So I switched to Raph, even though Don is the best here. Raph is the best against the boss of this stage, and we will get a pizza right before the boss fight. Normally, if we're Don, we skip the pizza, kill ourselves because we have a spot to do it, and then switch to Raph at that time. But since we have a pizza, I'm just going to take the pizza in this case. Who we got here? It's going to be just enemy clearing here. I think that should do it. Okay, cool. Moving on to our boss. This is not a part I particularly enjoy. This is the hardest boss in the game by a decent amount. Leatherhead is kind of a nightmare. He has an incredibly invincible move that allows him to spin his tail, and it can beat you out. He's another, on anything. He's another boss you don't ever want to see with his back against the wall. If he gets his back to the wall and he starts doing the tail, like, you just can't fight him no matter what you do. Like, you just have no chance of actually doing anything to him. You have to get him away from the wall, or else you're just going to have to concede. So what I'm trying to do at this point is bait out tail. That way I can either get away from it or try to hit him back. Trying to maintain space, though. The other problem you can run into is sometimes when you hit a boss, they move backwards, which is not good, especially if they have a move like that where they can just retaliate and hit you. Ah, he got me. God damn it. Grabs really fast. So Leo's normally really bad in this fight, but I switched to him simply because he's the best character in the next stage, and I think I shouldn't say in the next stage. Raph's actually the optimal choice for the stage, but Leo's the optimal choice for the boss fights. And he's really good in the stage, with the exception of some enemies. It's a shame about that fight, though. I had really, really good pace for that fight, and I was going to actually kill him on the next hit, but he hit his panic button and I died. These are the only enemies Leo can have a hard time against, but he can actually gain ground against them with drop kicks, as you saw me doing there. So here we have these falling robots. I'm going to try to hit these guys to the side. I cannot approach that. That's unfortunate. That guy's going to break off stage, because normally what you could do is do something like that. That's not what I wanted to do, but okay. Sometimes they just spawn completely off screen, and you're kind of just helpless. There we go. He's really good for being able to do stuff like that. I just have to make sure I don't get hit. Easy, right? Especially in a game like this. Yeah, just don't get tagged. If you get tagged, you're probably done. These guys can be really difficult to approach, especially with Leo. You can't dive kick on them because they can just throw a kunai in the air, so you have to kind of just make sure you're watching what they do, and if they space you out properly, that means they get to hit you first. The cool part here is we can camp all these groupings. Gonna have some health coming up. Got these guys just open up the firing squad on us, grab this pizza, move on. For points. So this part is, to me, one of the reasons I don't enjoy playing Raph. I showcase that poorly because you can definitely hit them on the first frame of hitbox territory with Leo. You can do it with Raph too, but it's way harder. Much better. That's what I was trying to do the first time. It was just a little bit early. Got some stone warriors, gonna take them out. More of these guys. That was actually really good. I don't think I've ever killed them. Two of them just spawning in before. That was clean. Foot Soldier Factory. Gonna make use of throw here because I get more points this way. Throw is worth 400 points. Special is only worth 200. So might as well earn the points while I can. Got some stone warriors here. That was almost perfect, but still very good. That was awful. But I didn't die. Okay, that was nuts, but alright. Something like that. Something, please. Chase this guy. So, this segment here is another place we'd be taking intentional death. There is the chance I could take a death. I hope that doesn't happen. But what I'm going to have to do is dodge these lasers. I only really have to worry about the ones that are on the bottom. And the pattern's always the same. Low, medium, low, high. Or low, mid, low, high. We only have 6 foot soldiers to deal with, but I'm going to try and time the iframes of my special by getting around the lasers, and that's going to be really challenging. Especially when they do nonsense like that. Okay, so I should be home free here at least. Got rid of all the foot soldiers. Just have to make sure I jump these properly. Just going to be every other one. Okay. One more quick wave of enemies here. Hope to play a little bit of safety. That was scary, not gonna lie. Okay. Just back them to the wall. Alright, first of 2 back-to-back bosses. For Razar, one of 2 things can happen. You can either get me a great pattern and I can have a good fight, or you can give me a horrible pattern and I can have a terrible fight. He gave me the best pattern possible, and that's awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna have a bad pattern. But I've got 2 lives left, and I think I should be able to buffer this properly. I think he's got enough life to where, like, I don't really care about what he's gonna do now. Yeah, that's what I thought. Still, going with the frost bullets at the start was great for me, because if he does that, he's basically leaving himself complete open exposure. The other option would be he would just bum rush me with claws, and everything would go badly. So with Shredder, Leo again being the optimal choice, being that Leo is very much the center of the screen character. Shredder's just going to keep trying to wall dive on me. Essentially in this fight, it's just pure execution. There is some RNG to it, but I'm really hoping I just don't drop one of these inputs, because then I will die. So I can get a lot of hits out of this. Ooh. Deathless Shredder is so hard. That's like the 4th time I've ever gotten that in my life. That was nuts. Just clean execution, top to bottom, not too bad. Also, shout out to Donatello's face here. He is straight up mugging for the camera. I love it. Then they probably don't even know there's a camera there. So Shredder defeated. You think the game's over, but then again, he's getting away.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, Don still got the thumb up. Pretty great. Okay, so now starts what's essentially our end game. This elevator stage is hot. It's got a great soundtrack, and this stage is the best that Leonardo will ever be in a TMNT game. Everything falls on you. And by that I mean, like, literally everything comes from the sky to try to kill you, and Leo does not care because he's a can opener with legs. Like, look at all this. He just gets to massacre everything in his path, and it's just a beautiful blaze of destruction. God, this song is so good. Bum, bum, bum. I'm actually going to try and bulldoze the next stage. I don't know how well that's going to work. This part's just basically auto-scroller city. Just make sure you don't get hit. I got hit there, but it didn't cost me a time. The health I lost is really not that impactful. Oh yeah, 100%. That is without question. So ordinarily here, I'd be taking intentional death to switch to Raph. Leo's okay on the rooftop stage that we're getting ready to go to visit, but Raph's space coverage is huge. But I'm going to hang on to Leo for now because I only have so few precious lives left. With only 1 extra life on the way that I'm hoping to be able to get. The goal here is, this is stage, I guess you call it 7-2. What I'd like to be able to do is get to 8-2 and then take the game over. So I'm going to do my best to maintain a solid level of play until that time. Will it happen? I mean, we'll find out. This game's been pretty rude today, so the game's full of surprises. See, situations like that, it can still be good. Not so much for this, though, because again, full space coverage. You guys are really, really tryhards right now. Please stop. Okay, that's fine. That's not the worst. I'll just switch to Raph. I kind of want him for an upcoming segment anyway. Leo is probably going to die to these guys. Rude. This song's also very good. We got more spawns. Raph loves taking care of that mess. Here's where you can see why Raph is just so disgusting on this stage. The top vertical scroll for this stage is really high. As you can see, like, as in like top of stage to bottom of stage. He excels very, very well in situations like that. I'm gonna do throws here. Not so much on this guy because he wants to misbehave. Quick Raph all-star moment here. Spawn a bunch of enemies. If they decide to stay put, you can just glide from complete right to left and just kill them all once, like so. He's very, very good for that. I'm gonna move to this side, actually. Going from right to left there, I never had much success because the one on the right spawns almost completely off screen and it just like seems impossible to hit him. Get some more of this. Back into position. Yeah, no character can do a segment like that like Raph can. Again, space control there is gigantic. Not gonna bait out boomerangs again. Just gonna do this. Onto some stone warriors. These guys can be really scary because again they do have a projectile they can shoot at me. Raph doesn't really care much about the kunai guys like Leo does. That's not what I wanted to have happen at all. Way too high. A little cocky there. So, last life jitters here. I kind of need a perfect Toka fight or else I have to repeat that stage, and I really hope I don't have to do that. I'm going to try and throw as much as I can. Alright, so on to our boss. Toka may kill me. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't have a really good fight. I'd rather get him away from the wall if that's at all possible. Please get away from the wall. Thought that was going to happen. This game is a jerk. Alright. Sorry I couldn't show up a better route at least through that stage. I was hoping to make it through there to the next stage and be able to just not have to talk about it any further. So now there's a very good chance I may not meet estimate. So apologies. We also have 2 to 3 minutes of this left. I had to repeat the whole stage all over again. Yeah. See, here's the thing that sucks. I really debated trying to take a game over right after I got to the top of the rooftop because then I wouldn't have lost any time. But I had just enough lives to feel like I could do okay. But then the game just decided to, you know, I mean, I can't say anything without saying things that aren't family friendly. So I guess I'm just not going to say anything at all. At least he has the optimal character here. Number of lives here looks pretty good, though that can certainly change. There we go. Okay, weird. That was a trade? Give me a break, video game. That didn't kill him? That doesn't seem correct. Here's the part that really sucks. Once you've continued, you can't farm extra lives anymore. So if I reach 50,000 again, it doesn't give me an extra life. So that's something we can look forward to, is not being able to do anything about that. Please stop. Oh yeah, I gotta go from left to right here. Come here. Hopefully this time I'll get to talk a bit more about the Toka fight. I was trying to do quiet time previously, but it can be a really complicated fight at times. As evidenced by the fact that, you know, he killed me out of nowhere. Don't go too... Wow. I'm just gonna switch to Don. That's what I want for the boss anyway. I said the big thing about enemies in this game is they have a lot of attacks that are essentially frame perfect, and they can come out right on frame 1, and there's just nothing you can do if you're in their path. You can't defend it. You can't react to it. It's going to hit you. Not fun to have to deal with. Really? Okay. So, thing about Toka, he has a grab that he can do on you that you saw him, I mean, you saw it in the previous attempt where he was just kind of jumping around. Now he's going to go machine gun punches, which I actually generally hope he does earlier in the fight. Last time he did it halfway through the fight, which is not good for me. Wow. Game is feeling special today. Other attacks he has, the grab is kind of just there. You can't dive kick at him because he has a shield that he can actually use to block your hit, and it actually stuns you in midair, which is kind of unique in this game. The reason Dawn is used is just because Dawn's special can hit up to twice on a single use, which can do a lot of damage. I think it does 9 per hit, so like 18's pretty solid for just actual hit content. On to our last stage. Longest and hardest stage in the game, particularly for room 2. Here I think I'm just gonna do my best to play solid. Dawn's good here, Raph's also good here if we had access to him. Again, it's a big stage, so you just want to make sure you have a character that can control space well, and they're the two best for that. At least horizontal space. Ooh, I don't know how that didn't hit me. I don't know how that did hit me. What's up, Mr. Belthic? There's that grab I was talking about. Grab drains health, so as soon as they grab you, if you're at the lowest possible health, which you usually are in this game, you're just dead. This is unfortunate. I did not want this to happen. Essentially through this stage, it's just a big swath of enemies, and it's enemies you've seen all throughout the game so far. Hoping to react to that properly. It's fine though. There we go. Gotta do some approach here. There we go. And continue to do Blanca Ball. Those things fall on you, it kills you. Should also mention that. Not bad. 2 cycles on any segments of those is great. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Sure. Well, 2.5 cycles, sure. We'll take that. Okay, scary stuff there. Luchadors. These guys can actually be really dangerous if they have a lot of vertical space. They're just going to try and play around you. These guys are dangerous if you have a character with a single standing special. So Leo against the guys with the oil drums is not particularly optimal. Dawn's reasonable. I'm just going to tackle my way to that pizza because I could really use it. Okay. First of 3 bosses for this stage. It's another Mother Mouser. This fight's a lot harder though because a couple reasons. 1, there's a lot more space in the stage, especially vertically. And 2, this electric barrier can really cause some problems, as evidenced by what I just did there. They put their back to the barrier, like what are you gonna do, you know? Take a hit. I'm trying to get 2 hits with these cycles, but as long as nothing's hitting me, it's fine. Reasonable fight. It definitely stalled for time and did some scamming, but... Oh, you can get extra lives on that. Okay. I guess at 50,000 you can't, which is why I was wrong. Now with 90% more of your daily dose of hay. Don't. Alright, so I'll take being wrong about the extra lives for sure. Fly to this guy, really? Okay. Guess we'll switch to Raph. There's a pizza right after this too, so I'm good to retain the right to be even more mad about that. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of that. Got a quick swath of enemies here. Okay. Take that now. Get out of here, please. Take those dudes out. New enemy here. These guys died at any special. That's generally what I end up doing, simply because you got the foot soldiers that spawn with them. There's no reason not to try to take out multiple enemies at a time if they're going to start grouping together like that. That was definitely a mistake. I did that just to get away. Made him chase me, and I guess it worked. Whip guys can be annoying because of this jump routine they do. I think they only do it in synchronicity, though. I don't know if they do it if it's only solo. But they're gone, either way. Get out of here, please. Scary stuff always. Take that guy out. Take some points, why not? Good double kill there. I didn't think they'd be spaced closely enough to do that. Whereas Leo had problems with these dudes, Raph not so much. All these guys want to do is be able to control space, and they can't do that against him. He just barricades his way through that door. Clear out this. Clear out this. A couple of segments of this, but drill takes us right through it, no problem. You can jump kick those guys for more points, but it's not as safe. Yeah, you're moving too much. Jump on that, please. There we go. That was almost lethal. Would have been bad. Come back here. Still think those are some of the more dangerous Stone Warriors because of how active their swing is. Those dudes can Seiko the heck out of those 2x4s, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunate there. Got a little ahead of myself. Yeah, when they have time to actually do their setups, they can be a real issue. What are you doing? End segment here, we've got quite a few of these segments. We're going to have just formations of that, and Raph just takes them all out in one fell swoop. Not today. Couldn't chase them down. Forgot about these guys, actually. I don't want anything to do with him if he's going to try and spawn all the way on that side. More? I think you can hit them if their sprite is off screen like that, but if I'm wrong, I die, and I don't want that. So I was not willing to challenge that. Here, however, I will take an intentional death because Raph is terrible against Krang. We're going to switch to Leo, who's actually very, very good against Krang. So he can do some cool little manipulation tricks like this. He didn't back up all the way. There we go. It's a good one. This is a good mix of it, too. See how much they'll let me hit him. This is where the fight gets annoying. When the pants come off, it's bad. Actually, he didn't act up too much there. That was surprising. See if I can back him up a little bit. Oh yeah, I forgot that's a barricade, yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going to switch to Mike. Mike's second best against Krang, who I know we have not seen this game, which I'll go over why. Mike has a lot of problems with his special. It has very, very slow recovery, and it has a really awkward hitbox in that it really only acts as an anti-air and doesn't really cover much vertical space, horizontal space, and it's also not very good at camping like Leo's is. The big upside is that it does the most damage of any of the turtle specials. which is why Mike is the character of choice against our final boss here, the former Super Shredder. It does, I think, 11 damage per hit, and it can hit up to twice on him. So, fight doesn't last very long, and I've got 3 lives, so be sure to be ready on time. Pretty decent. Get some hits there. Gonna be doing a lot of attempts to try to hit me. He might succeed, which he did, but he can't end the credit, so there's no worries there. Get some hits there. Lightning's not that big of a concern. In fact, I prefer him to do that. I can get a bunch of hits on him that way, like so. That's fine. That's more annoying. If he starts blinking, we're gonna really be in the drop zone. And time. Still met my estimate. Okay. Despite the garbage rooftop, that was reasonable. Had an okay spaceship. Would have liked to take the continue in a more optimal spot, but for as lackluster of luck as that run was, I'll certainly take that. Whew, thank you. God, that game is mean.
Thanks so much for running such a mean game.
It's the only beat 'em up I've ever played where you essentially have 1 health the entire game, so it's gross.
It's the whole thing.
It's like I tell people, it's like if you play Contra and enjoy Contra and want to play a beat 'em up, this is probably the one for you because everything kills you in 1 hit. Everything that touches you is probably going to kill you. Get this dope ending credits music too. Alright, and again, thanks so much everyone for checking it out. Wasn't the best run, but it was still a run, and the game has great music, so that's cool too. And I think up next we've got Unos with our Kistis ring. It was right behind me, so we'll get set up for that. Thanks so much, everybody.